Some stories never leave you. They cling to your mind, replaying like a haunting song. Mine is one of these stories. My name is Obianoju, and I came face to face with death in a ritualist den. But I survived, and I want you to know how. Before I take you into the nightmare itself, let me paint a picture of how it all started. NYSC was one of the best years of my life. My posting to Umudike, Abia State, felt like a blessing. Life there was unhurried, simple, and beautiful. The mornings were painted with the golden hues of sunlight streaming through tall leafy trees, and the air was often sweetened with the smell of delicious soups being cooked over firewood. I taught English at a local secondary school. My students were always eager to learn, bringing me joy in their small but profound ways. Be it the shy flowers they plucked for me on the way to school, or the handwritten notes of thanks they left on my desk. The town dwellers too were generous, gifting me cassava, yams, and smiles that stretched as wide as the sky. But the most memorable part of my service year was the friendships I made. Chief among them was with Tola. Tola was the kind of woman who turned heads wherever she went. Her skin glowed like freshly polished brass, and her figure was a sculptor's sensual dream, voluptuous, small-waisted. To be blunt, her Bakassi constantly made people stop and stare. But beyond her beauty, she had the confidence that drew people in. I admired her ease with life, her infectious laughter, and her ability to make any dull moment seem vibrant. She became my closest friend, my confidant, my sister, all in a very short time, and it was because of her that my ordeal began. One Friday afternoon, Tola burst into my room, her eyes bright with excitement. "Uju, you're coming with me to Uyo this Friday. Paul wants to see me and I can't go alone, so get ready," she ordered. I hesitated. Uyo was far and I wasn't a fan of spontaneous plans. But Tola would not let up. "You need to loosen up, girl. Live a little. You've been burying yourself in work. Come on, it will be fun. His friend will be there too. And you and I know you need to start meeting correct men and end this your single life." She winked. Her excitement warmed me up to the idea, and against my better judgment, I agreed. So off to Uyo I went with Tola. We dressed to kill. Tola made sure I looked as spicy and irresistible as she did by borrowing me one of her clothes, a daring red dress that showed off my full breast. We packed our overnight bags and hit the road. The journey was quite pleasant and I enjoyed it. The countryside stretched endlessly, a patchwork of green and brown on a blue-skied background, and the air rushed through the bus window smelling of wet earth and adventure. I was looking forward to having mad fun. We arrived to a warm reception. Paul, Tola's boyfriend, was tall, light-skinned, and charming, and full of jokes. His friend Eddie Diong, or Eddie as he insisted we call him, was equally amiable. They took us out that evening, treating us to grilled fish spiced with uziza, ekpang okukwo, and fresh cold palm wine. It was enjoyment galore. We felt and acted at home, laughter flowing like water, and our heads swaying to the soft music as the night deepened. Forgetting my usual inhibitions, I flirted with Edie. Not only was he quite good-looking with his tall, muscular frame and shining dark skin, he was also such a nice guy. Maybe it was the alcohol, but I was already strongly attracted to him. By the time we climbed into Paul's car to head back, I felt light and free, until I didn't. It hit me suddenly like a heavy wave crashing against fragile sand. My vision blurred, and my head lolled back against the seat. Beside me, Tola was slurring her words, her body limp too. I tried to speak, to ask what was happening, but my tongue felt thick. I vaguely heard Paul's voice saying, "Relax, everything's under control." before the darkness swallowed me whole. I woke up to cold. The air was damp, the kind that clung to your skin like a second layer. The smell hit me first, a nauseating mix of rot urine and something metallic. My wrists and ankles burned, bound tightly with ropes. The room was the size of any average secondary school classroom. Its walls were made from mud and were streaked with dark stains I didn't want to think about. 2 kerosene lamps flickered weakly, casting shadows that danced like ghosts. Around me were other captives, men, women, and 2 children who couldn't have been older than 10. The younger, a boy, sat shivering against his sister's shoulder. Their school uniforms were dirty and torn. Their wide, terrified eyes darted around the room, as though searching for a way out. I can't begin to describe how dark and woe-begone the atmosphere felt. People were moaning, crying, and writhing in the semi-darkness, and it was as if I had woken up in hell. Tola, what happened? What are we doing here? How did we get here? Where is Edie, Paul? I gasped. She sat beside me, taking in the condition we were in too, as confused and disoriented as I was. I don't know. Paul! She screamed. At that moment, we heard other screams. They were coming from somewhere beyond the room, perhaps a room next door. It was the sound of a woman begging for her life. Her voice was raw, desperate. Please, I have money. I will give you money. A loud third followed, then silence. Brume wanted to be a baddie badly. A 20-year-old born and bred in Sapele, Delta State, she had always dreamt of finding herself in Lagos, where all the action is and where dreams come true faster. And recently, this desire intensified. She hungered to experience the things she saw on her small Android phone when she surfed the internet, especially on apps like Instagram and Snapchat. She followed and immersed herself in the lives, or rather, the online lives of girls her age, and those few years older, whom she saw as hot, and she coveted the same type of life for herself. These girls called themselves baddies, and they were living their best lives. The way they flaunted their beauty on the internet, their soft lives, trips in and out of Nigeria, expensive clothes, hair and makeup. She was wowed by it all.